Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Rakak, Wadash. And double honor to the apostles of the great millstone that taught me this truth through the inspiration and the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Rakak, Wadash. And giving also the salutations towards the Yakim that's forwarding this ministry throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to the brothers and the sisters that do take heed out of the heart of sincerity. It's the brother Laban coming at you with another video. And in this video, I want to go over a couple of things. I don't know what I'm going to call this video as a whole, but we're going to get started with this article. As this reads, worse than a couple of years ago, food banks demand spikes as inflation wrecks households. The last time we showed readers the North Texas Food Bank was nearly 2 years ago during the early days of the virus pandemic, when thousands of hungry and unemployed lined up in their vehicles to receive care packages. Now, demand for food banks is surging, but for different reasons, as households' finances are crushed by inflation and can barely afford essential items at supermarkets. Trisha Cunningham, the CEO of the North Texas Food Bank, told CBS News that demands for her food bank is worse than a couple of years ago, and we are serving now at a higher level than we ever did at the peak of the pandemic. While inflation has begun to cool, food prices remain high, making it difficult for many families to afford even the basic groceries. Food banks across the country are feeling the impact of high prices, with long lines and new faces as more families struggle to make ends meet. The overwhelming answer that CBS found of why people are lining up at the food banks is that they can't afford the groceries. One person told CBS it's just the basics: flour, sugar, eggs, and milk. Prices that have spiraled out of control, adding, we don't buy cookies and cakes because we don't have that luxury anymore due to the inflation that's going on right now. And this is just the beginning, man. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse until this world really explodes with a whole lot of mess. Okay? And I just thought of the title of this video that I'm doing. This world is about to explode. That's what I'm going to entitle this video, pretty much. Because that's really where we're going. I mean, we're not going any other way but towards seeing this world really crumble apart the way that it's crumbling apart in the most dramatic fashion you've ever seen in your life. All right. So I want to move forward, and we're going to read something else as to what's going on with China. And even down there in China, you got a lot of those people that are under the COVID lockdown. And a lot of them, I think it's in a particular area in China. It's in Chengdu, China, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. A lot of people have gotten out of their houses, out of lockdown, just so that they can get food. Due to the scarcity of it and the inflation. I mean, there's not really a scarcity of food. It's just that we're in a times of inflation. That's what it is. So let's read this. It says the latest heat wave, the droughts and the alarming declines in the river's flows threaten global economy, and the latest heat waves and the drop in the levels of important global waterways are negatively affecting influential aspects of the world's food and economic situation. Droughts in the major rivers is an international logistical and economic problem. The world is currently going through a generic economic crisis due to the issues such as soaring inflation in many countries, or the energy crises resulting from the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the sanctions subsequently imposed on the countries led by Vladimir Putin, which has affected gas and oil prices across the board. And this scenario further aggravates a difficult situation that had already been dragging on in part since the outbreak of the C-19 pandemic, and now the worst drought in decades is wreaking havoc on many rivers, creating a number of problems that deepens a delicate global economic situation. In this context, the sharp decline in the flow of several of the world's most important rivers is creating a major economic challenge posed by the climate change and we are currently experiencing, and whether they're doing this by purpose, because I just did a video on speaking about geoengineering and the cloud seeding thing, which is what they've been doing for some time or another. But whether they're doing this by purpose, this is all the will of the Heavenly Father working out. Because it's right around approaching the time of the end of this civilization as we know it, the rulership of the Edomites, from the least to the greatest of the nations that are under Esau, which we're doing very well under Esau. We're about to approach the end of this world as we know it. And I want to say that again, in the most dramatic fashion you've ever seen. All right. And I want to begin by reading Wisdom of Solomon, the 11th chapter in verse 20. So we're going to get to the point here. So this reads, yea, and without these might they have fallen down with one blast, being persecuted of the vengeance, which is referencing the people, the nations, and scattered abroad through the breath of thy power. But thou hast ordered all things in measure, and in number and in weight. It's like when you look at the timelines of all of these different empires which previously existed, once upon another they ruled for a particular portion of time. Okay, now when you look into the the amount of time that these nations ruled for, let me see something real quick. Yeah, so let's just deal with the ancient Roman Empire. The ancient Roman Empire came into existence around 168 BC and ended their reign at 476 AD. So we're talking about a little over 500 years. But that was their portion of time. So the Lord measured the times among these nations. And I just want to read the book of Job 14. And we're going to begin by reading verse 5. And this is right now in reference to Esau. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee, and thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. So the number of his months, in other words, his time of ruling, is with the Lord. And so there you have it. There's a measurement of time that they were given, and they're not going to be able to overpass that measurement of time. Revelations 20 and verse 3. And cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more until the thousands of years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. And this is referencing when we came into the power seat after the ancient Roman Empire fell apart, which we came in around the time of, we started coming up around, I would say, the first century AD. And then as the centuries progressed, we became more of a prominent nation within the Roman Empire. And eventually we became more prominent overall in Europe. And there's a whole lot of information, a ginormous amount of information of what we've done and how we pretty much ruled Europe as a whole. So after that was all said and done, we came out of power, which was prophesied that the Roman Empire would come back again. And that came around the 15th century, around the Renaissance period, which the term Renaissance means rebirth. So the Roman Empire came back into existence again. There was a rebirth of the Roman Empire, which was also prophesied as well as what Daniel was saying that you're going to have an empire that's going to rise above, which is going to represent the last of the statue, which is the 10 toes. And that would be this revival version of Rome. And afterwards, the Lord will come and destroy this place to set up his kingdom. And his kingdom will be the everlasting kingdom that shall not be given to no other nations anymore. That's in the book of Daniel's. I was really referencing Daniel 7 and Daniel 2 at the same time. All right. And in that kingdom, the saints are going to rule, and we're going to be the ones ruling in the next world. It's not going to be the Chinese or the Russians. None of these nations are going to be the next to rule. It's set up in Bible prophecy that the saints are going to rule in the next go round. And this is what we're coming up into as the world is about to explode. Okay. So there you go right there. And I just want to go over this article over here as well of Elon Musk warning about there's going to be a time of an extinction. There's going to be an extinction event. There's going to be an extinction event coming. So I'm going to go as far as to read, and I'm going to interpret what he's really talking about, because there's no prophecy saying that we're going to be hit by a meteorite or anything of that nature, or there's going to be another planet that's going to come towards and crash through this planet. That's not going to happen at all. But I'm going to read a little of this article, and I'm going to say what it really is, as we already know. So this reads, Elon Musk and the end of the world warning, just a matter of time before extinction event. So it reads, yesterday, the world's richest man issued an ominous warning suggesting that a mass extinction event could arrive soon and wipe out humanity since its formation about 4.5 billion years ago. That's that carbon dating crap. The Earth has 5 mass extinction, where about 75% of the planet's life is wiped out over 2.8 million years, which is merely a blink of an eye on a cosmic scale. So anyway, what I'm going to say to this, which I'm not going to read all of this because this is just pretty much nonsense, what he's talking about. But what he's really saying is there's going to be an event which will be, you could say to an equivalent of an extinction or event, but it's not going to be us being hit by no meteorite. It ain't going to be us being hit by no planet in outer space. Okay, because they've been talking about this for years, man. The whole idea, giving people this whole pseudo idea that we're going to be hit by a meteorite, or a meteorite is going to hit us. That's what I meant to say. Right? And that can be further from the truth. The truth of the matter is that this place is going out by way of a nuclear destruction from the nuclear missiles that every nation has right before them. And these are going to be the instruments that's going to waste this whole entire empire as a whole. That's what's coming. Ain't no meteorite coming to hit us. It's the missiles that's going to come and hit this whole entire planet, and the elect are going to be delivered and saved, and the saints are going to take over. And as I've said, and I'll say it again, this world is about to explode like you've never seen before. The time of Jacob's trouble is coming. Daniel's 12 is coming. There's going to come a time since there was a nation, and within that time shall there be deliverance for the sons of Israel. All right. And as well as the daughters too, the women as well. So with that, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Avakar Kwadash. And with that, I'm closing, signing out. Shalom.